Hello, magical people. Welcome back to our channels. My name is Meg Moonbeam, and I'm here with my husband, Jens. And we are live today for a very special live stream all about how to raise your vibration. A very important topic. We're going to talk about why this is so important right now for us to be raising our vibrations. And want to give a big congratulations to Jens on recently releasing his new 14 Days to a Higher Vibration course. Yay! Jens's new course is available over at the link in the description box below, and we are multi-streaming both on the Meg Moonbeam and Jens Pateo YouTube channels. So yeah, you can go to the link below. And do you want to talk a little bit about this before we get into our show topic?
Absolutely, yes. So I want to welcome all the people watching us. Of course, I see a lot of familiar names in the comments, and yeah. So I've created this course for for really people who are awake to help themselves to raise their vibration. Because especially in the awake community, it's we're dealing with a lot of stuff, a lot of information. Everybody knows that sometimes to be awake it's not easy, especially if you woke up. A lot of people woke up in 2020, what happened in 2020, and it's we got to face it. Sometimes it's not easy. I've hear from a lot of people that not a lot of people have other awake people around them. And I saw it, for example, in our England trip that we organized last year. The people were so happy to be surrounded with like-minded people. So we need to support ourselves. We need to raise our vibration in a way that we build that foundation within ourselves, that we can handle what's coming at us. Because this is not a time where we just can, dilly-dally around. And, if we're aware of that information, if we take responsibility for what we know, and if we take responsibility for ourselves, and that inspired me to do the course. And in this episode today, Meg and I are going to talk a little bit more about it. We're going to share our own experiences about it, how to raise your vibration, congruent with our journey, congruent how it went for us. So yeah, so I'm excited for this.
Yay! And we have some familiar faces and friends in the live chat. We've got MJ. Hello, MJ. And Julie, she says Pagan Standard Time. LOL. Nice to see you, Julie. Everyone, Diane, hello, hello, hello. Julie says, hello from Ontario. Is anyone else here already in Jens's new 14-day course? I just started it.
That's
Amazing.
Cool.
Very cool. Well, thank you so much, Julie, for all your support. And I've been talking you up, Yenzi, the whole past week on my channels, sharing about the course. And I've been talking about how you've been working this for like the whole past year, right?
Yeah, it's there's a lot of work that comes into creating a course like this. You have to, I mean, I won't go into detail, but you have to get everything organized. You have to lay it all out. You have to do all the videos. The course contains about 11 hours of videos. So, to produce 11 hours of video, it's a lot of work. I had to learn also a lot of stuff because for recording and all the stuff. To get the production up to a higher level, it's not just me sitting behind my webcam anymore. The quality of the video is a lot higher. So a lot of time and effort goes into that. But that's how it is, and I love doing it.
Yes, and your Pisces rising has really been turned on as of late. The past year, you've been doing these content creator courses, which I remember when you purchased those, you didn't really know, okay, what's this going to be like? You didn't really know the guys that were the teachers of it. And it ended up being such an amazing resource. And Jens's skills, you guys have seen some of my videos that Jens edits. Your skill in filmmaking, photography, editing, I mean, you've just gone like to a completely other level. And I'm just so proud of you. And you guys will see, as Julie is saying in the comment here, that the quality of this new course is absolutely off the chart. So I'm so very proud of you.
Thank you.
It's amazing. So yeah, we're going to talk about how to raise your vibration, why this is so important. Maybe Yenzi will share a little tip or two from the course, and maybe we'll even give away. Maybe I'll gift somebody the course. So we'll see about that. Before we get into that, how have you been doing? I think isn't this our first live stream since we've made a really big professional change?
Yeah, this is our first live stream. We've done shows together before, on our own channels, and we're gonna keep doing them, especially weekly. But this is our first live stream together since we made our big professional change. I shall say.
Yeah. And how have you been doing, like, with the current energies in these current times? How have you just been feeling for those out there that maybe haven't seen you in a little bit? We've been on the road, we've been a little bit busy, but we're starting to get back in the groove of doing our regular content.
I've been feeling, I have to say, good for these last weeks. I have to say, maybe to lead into the subject a little bit. Today, I was working and dealing with a lot of technological issues, and it really got on my nerves because when some simple things don't work, and then you have to restart your computer, you have to wait a long time, and there was a lot of trial and error today, and a lot of, although it's not, I asked Meg, I said, baby, is it Mercury retrograde? Because all my stuff keeps failing today. But it isn't Mercury retrograde, so I don't know what's going on. But I was really frustrated by it, and then I just went outside, and I sat in the garden watching the setting sun, and I
Mm,
immediately felt it calming me down. So that's one of the first things to raise your vibration. To raise your vibration, you also have to have a good grounding. It's like a
mm,
tree cannot raise itself if its roots are not deep. So that's one of the first important things. And like this evening, when I went out in nature and I just sat with my feet on the ground, just sat there, no phone, just watched the sunset. Immediately, like in 50 minutes or so, 20 minutes, I felt my energy completely, I felt the frustration going away, and I felt my energy grounding. So that's one of the most important things. And I go, of course, more in depth in the course on this, but that's one of the most important things is raising your vibration, is having that deep foundation, is really
mm,
grounding. People sometimes who are new to spirituality try to immediately get into the advanced meditations and meditating every day, but if you don't have your grounding right, it's not good. If you try to go high and you don't have a good footing, it's like with a building, right? The
yeah.
engineers spend a lot of time building the foundations, because the foundations are important. If the foundations, it's very dangerous actually if the foundations of a building are not good, because the buildings can topple. So the foundations are actually the most important, and that sometimes people tend to skip them. So that's why work on your foundations. And in the course, if people are interested in the course, I provide in-depth information in the foundations. It goes also into balance, of course, but we
Mhm.
cannot forget our foundations, and it's very simple and very effective. Just like me, sitting in the garden was just beautiful, and I felt totally relaxed after those 20 minutes.
Very well said. And how would you describe for some people listening that are maybe completely new to spirituality or wellness or consciousness work, what the heck does raising your vibration mean?
That's
How would
actually a
you
good
describe
question. That's a good question. Raising your vibration means uplifting the frequency of you, and you are your life, right? We all
that?
experience the world from our perspective, from our lens, from our personality, right? So raising the vibration means raising the vibe, because that's also something I share in the course. We don't see the world as it is. We see the world as we think it is, right? We look through the world through our belief colored glasses. So that's very important. And I've noticed this with myself. For example, I remember we did a meditation here a few months ago, and with a group meditation, with Meg and me, and we were bringing in high energies. And afterwards, everything looked so beautiful, so magical. And I realized I see the beauty and the magic because my vibration was heightened, because we did that powerful group work together, when we were focusing on love energies, and
Yeah.
everything had that magical shine to it. And vice versa, if you're feeling like a little bit more depressed, everything will look a little bit more drab and gray. So we literally, our own personal state is influencing the way we see and experience the world. So lifting your vibration is lifting it to a place where it's more beautiful, more and more happy. Now, of course, this is also something we cannot be on 100% of the time, right? And
Yeah.
baby, you as a Scorpio, you know that baby Scorpios experience deep emotions. So sometimes, we're feeling a little bit. I have that too. Sometimes we're feeling a little bit less, and that's okay. Raising your vibrations is not faking being, 100% happy all the time. Fakery doesn't help here. We got to be honest with
Mm.
ourselves, and it's also part of raising our vibration.
I think that is such an important point that you're bringing up, and something that I wanted to bring up with you today in this video is the theme of spiritual bypassing, okay, which we know all about because Jens and I, we've been working in the spiritual field for years now. And I have seen a whole lot of crap load of spiritual bypassing. And I'll admit that when I even really seriously started, like I call it my star seed awakening journey in 2012, 2013, when I was working at a spiritual store, shout out Akasha's Den in Oakville. Love you guys. I had this perception. You're talking about perception, Yenzi. I had this perception that spirituality and the spiritual awakening was me getting to this place where I would be 100% happy all the time. And everything would be perfect all the time. And my vibration would just be, woo, great all the time, which is just not true, right? That's just not possible unless you're somebody like, Jesus Christ, or like an ascended master that's going to experience 100% enlightenment. Most of us are not in that place. We're souls having this human experience in this lifetime. And I think it's something really important what you just said, that when you're on the path of raising your vibration, it's not about an end goal of needing to feel perfect and 100% positive all the time. It's about consciously navigating the journey of life, right? And we have highs and we have lows. And I love how you talk about in your introduction video in the course that I've seen, when you learn how to raise your vibration, those lows that we naturally have in life, instead of going to a complete rock bottom, you go a little bit lower, but then based on some of the practices that you share of grounding, meditation, and other things, you don't go as low, right? The lows aren't as low. Does that make sense how I'm explaining that?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I think it's something really important, and let us know in the comments if you guys are resonating with that. Nancy says, having tools to raise our vibes when we are low. This will be needed in the very near future. Yes, Nancy. And something I also want to bring up astrologically, maybe Nancy and I are having some sort of telepathic connection. But I want to bring up, I was thinking about, as I was preparing for our live stream today, Nikola Tesla, and how he's famous to have quoted, if you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration, right? And the great Nikola Tesla, I mean, absolute genius in so many different ways. And it's so true. In our Western world, we are basically taught and brainwashed, unless you grew up in a tribe in a very conscious state. But I think most of us listening to this video right now did not. We were kind of brainwashed that it's stupid to think that your vibration or frequency or energy or those things don't make sense. Those things aren't aligned with science, right? This is all just kind of an atheistic experience unless you went to a religious school. When in reality, science is spiritual and we are vibration, right? We are vibration. This is something that I've personally seen so much. Before I became a full-time astrologer, some of you guys may know that I'm also a musician and a sound healer. And I used to do a lot more like in-person sound healing, meditations, and group work on a regular basis. And Jens knows, because I think I've shared this with him, that on a regular basis, the sound healing, something that you probably bring up in the course or you touch on, affects us because we are sound and we are vibration. And I would hear all the time people saying that they had pain relief, they had depression relief, anxiety relief, all these different physical reliefs, scientific proof after something like sound healing, for an example, right? So we truly are vibration. Is there anything you want to speak to on that quote? I just find that Nikola Tesla quote is so powerful.
Yeah, and it's absolutely true. And he was such. I mean, we remember we visited the Niagara region where he's there's like a boulevard named to him. There's a lot of Tesla because he was working there in the Niagara power station in the 1800s. And what this guy invented, it's just absolutely amazing. Our world would look totally different if it would not be for him. And of course, they suppressed him. If they would have let out all this technology, I think our world will all be 200 years, 300 years ahead. But they've suppressed a lot of things because they want to keep control. And he was really into free energy, wireless energy, We don't have wireless energy yet, right? Because we have it like on a small scale, like you know, you can put your phone on these inductors and then they
Mhm.
can charge, but we don't really have it over large distances. You know, we would be able to get rid of all the wiring, all the power lines. You know, it would be so much better for nature. But you know, they didn't want it, of course, because it's about control. But
Yeah.
anyway, so yeah, so that quote really says it all, because what science does, mainstream science, you know, if this is, for example, mainstream science, the real truth of the universe and reality is way bigger. So if you only focus on that little box that you're in, you know, that little box of 3D materialist reality, you're never going to find out the truth. And this is
Mhm.
basically what this quote is saying. If you keep playing in that little, I you know, like the horses have these things on. How do you call it in English?
I don't know
Um,
what the word of that is, but I know what you're
yeah.
talking about.
So the horses can only see in front of them. They can't see all of the reality. So if you come from that perspective and work in that perspective, and mainstream science, your progress is going to be much slower. And the same goes for us. If you like for health, if you own, I mean, I agree. Some things that materialist science does it really well. For example, if it's purely physical, mending broken bones, you know, surgery for a broken bone, you know, extracting a tooth, you know, it's a lot more enjoy. It's still not enjoyable, but it's a lot more enjoyable than in the Middle Ages. So I agree that science has done some good things, but when it comes to disease, when it comes to mental and physical health and spiritual health,
Yeah.
modern health is really, you know, a science. You know, our modern hospitals are really not that good. They don't think about the energy. The food in the hospitals is sometimes really bad for people who need to heal. You know, hell. So there's a lot. There's I agree that science can do good things, and it's good for acute cases, for emergencies, to save your life and stuff like that.
Mhm.
But for holistic healing, it's really not that good. And are, you know, same as what Tesla said about science, is about, you know, health and about um, how would I say it? You know, health education and healing people. We would make such huge advances if we take in the human being not only as a physical being, but as a spiritual being with an energy field. Everybody has an energy field. Everybody has an aura. I talk about that in the course, because this is
Mhm.
fundamental to know, and we don't even get taught that in school. We just get taught, of
Right.
course, this is by design. We just get taught the purely physical perspective. Why? Because they want to keep us in that reality, right? If they would
Mhm.
teach children at school, I want to be taught as a kid. That would be lovely to be taught. You know, these are the chakras. These are your energy bodies. There are energy pathways in the human body. Maybe in China they're a little bit ahead, you know, because they practice qigong in some schools, and you know the meridians, which is, you know, the energy flows in the body. But if we would learn about that, imagine learning that as a kid. You're From a young age, your mind would blossom way more open. Our society would be totally different. We would have different adults. So we still have a long way to go, but you know, gradually it's becoming more and more open. It's not been suppressed as much. So we are, although you know there's people trying to suppress, we are evolving as a society.
Definitely. And I love William Welsh's comment here, which leads into the next thing I want to bring up with you. He says, they're not trying to heal you. The hospitals and doctors want to keep you sick to pay their bills. So this leads perfectly into what I wanted to bring up next, William and everyone, which is many of us, if you're on the Meg Moonbeam or the Jens Pateo channels, then you're probably a little bit like-minded to us. And not that we need to agree on everything, but we are mystical people that are also open to conspiracies and the alternative and the weird rabbit holes of what the heck is actually going on here, right? And many of us are aware that we're living in this inverted world. Right. We are living in this old Rockefeller system. It's even not just Rockefeller, this system made by elites that I like to say are losing their power right now, right? These dark arts groups that is an inversion, right? Like we have these hospitals that are supposed to help us, but actually it's not really. We have, yeah, Tamara says the food is horrible in hospitals. Even the food in the hospitals doesn't make sense. What's being put in the food? What's being put in the skies? I mean, every aspect of life in Western society, from the system that we've been in since, in particular, the early 1900s, does not make sense, right? And a lot of us are aware of that, of this old power structure losing its power. Why is it so important for us, like minded individuals, Yancy, to be raising our vibrations? It's important for everybody, okay, but for those of us who kind of go down these rabbit holes, why is this so important right now? Because I think it really is.
Yeah, like I said in the beginning, we cannot go through these times as awake people and just not do anything for the soul being we are. Like you refer in the Tesla quote, the Nikola Tesla quote.
Hmm.
If we only take into consideration our physical health, okay, that's good, but that's only going to get us so far. We need to honor and we need to, treat ourselves and pamper ourselves not only as physical beings but also as spiritual beings, because we are actually more spiritual than physical in nature, because we are, our incarnated souls, and our physical bodies, they last like 80, 90 years, and then, we move on to a different realm. So
Mm,
our innermost real being, the person who we really are, is a being of love, is a being of light, being of love and light, I like to call, because we are all beings of love and light. So that's really important. So we got to honor that part of ourselves. We got to, for example, if I work out physically, but I also work out my energy body by the practices I'm doing in meditation, for example, and energy work, focusing on the chakras, focusing on the energy flows. And that's really important too. And that's also where real spiritual growth comes in, is
mhm,
we we got to go with the flow. We got to ride the wave of the rising vibrations of the earth, because the frequency of the earth is rising and keeps on rising, and it exposes the dark stuff as we're seeing, right? And the dark people, the dark, people out there that want to control, they feel that frequency too, so they try more control. That's why we have seen that huge push for control in 2020.
mhm.
With what happened in 2020, everybody knows what happened in 2025 years ago. So that's part of that. So there's more darkness coming to the surface, and it's getting more, like active. But in the other hand, there's more light coming in, and so we can ride that wave of more light coming in by also preparing ourselves, um, for our energy bodies to be able to integrate these higher frequencies that are coming into the earth. So that's also why it's a really good idea to raise your vibration and to do these practices, because it puts you ahead of the curve in a way. Because if you don't do that, the rising frequencies will may want to trigger you or something. So I say, of course, there's no way to not have any triggers in life. Sometimes we all get triggered, but the best way to lessen triggers is to really actively work on yourself, because usually a trigger is something where you're subconsciously like blocked, and then a person like hits that button where you're blocked, and then you explode, right? Or you're triggered. So the more you work on yourself, maybe the less intense the triggers will be, or the less they will happen. I'm not saying they won't happen. That's impossible. We're human all. But yeah, that's one of the main reasons also for yourself, but and also for the collective, because it's all about frequency, right? If we change as a humanity, if we raise our vibration, the outer world will respond to that, because we have the power. So there's multiple reasons, personal and collectively, actually.
Yeah, definitely. And I know for me, I can't remember exactly what year it was, maybe 2011 or 2012 when I first started to listen to Alex Jones. That was like the first major conspiracy theorist that I got into, listening to InfoWars like every day, going down all these crazy rabbit holes, watching these crazy ass documentaries when Pluto was on my moon, and becoming aware of what's really going on behind the curtain. But then at a certain point, well, as you go through that process, you go through like the stages of grief. Is that the right thing to call it? Yeah, the stages of grief, anger, depression, all those different stages. And it's important to be aware of the dark side. But like you're saying, Yenzi, we can't be consumed by it. And this is something that I personally see in our freedom community, woo-woo community, is there's some people that are completely consumed by the conspiracies, right? Which is important information to be aware of, but they're not eating properly. They're not doing things to raise their vibration. They don't have joy in their lives, right? And when we're actually in that low vibration, that's what these dark arts groups that have been in control of the planet this last astrological age we've been in, that's what they feed off of, right? So it's good to be aware of things, but at a certain point, we need to actively, on a regular basis. It's like maintenance. It's like brushing your teeth. It's something very important, right? We need to be raising our vibration. Would you say that you agree with that?
Absolutely, and I really like the point that you said. Like, these dark forces feed off of negativity. So the way to get rid of them is to starve them, basically, and to
Mhm,
focus on joy, focus on gratitude, focus on these on that positivity. And if everybody in the world would do that, I mean, that's unrealistic. Of course, that's utopian. That's maybe for that's not for now or in another year, because we still, we still have a lot to go through on the earth. But if everybody would do that, it would be over very, very quickly, because there would be no framework to sustain them. Um, but of course, we're on a planet where not all souls are awakened. And I'm not saying this with any kind of, like, awakened souls are better. Not at all, right? We've all been unawakened at a point in our life. We're all souls. I have love for everybody. I don't people who are really caught up in the game in materialist life. They maybe have heavy lives. I empathize with them. I have empathy for them. I'm not looking down on them or whatever. That's like totally not what I'm implying here. But we're on a planet where not everybody sees through the game, or is involved in maybe some darker things, and they're just souls that are not aware of it. So we're not on a planet where everybody is resonates on that higher frequency yet. Let me say it like that. So, but it's important to raise our vibration, because we do help. Like, I don't know if people that are watching have heard of David Hawkins, and he's been around for a long time, and he wrote a book, Power versus Force. And in that book, he describes how one awake individual on a higher vibration, he has like a scale where he places, for example, anger and hate at the low end of the scale, and then he places love and gratitude at a higher end of the scale. Like bliss, universal bliss, divine love is almost the highest. Yes, this one. Um,
mhm,
and in that book, he says that one awake person, so one person of a higher vibration, holds the same balance as, for example, 100 negative persons.
mm,
So the awakened part of humanity really holds the energy for a lot of the unawakened parts, which, it's a smaller, because we're the people that are awakened are in a minority, right? But they hold
yeah,
the balance, because it's more powerful. Basically, the higher vibrations are more powerful than the lower vibrations when it comes to, the morphogenetic field around the earth. The dark wants to make you think that they're more powerful, because they're very in your face, and it's all about, hysteria and chaos, and live shootings on television. I don't have to tell you, like what we had, live shootings and gruesome images. So they like to make you believe that they're more powerful, but the light is very powerful. Light is very powerful. And that's what David Hawkins also said in his book. And I actually fully agree with him.
mhm. Definitely. Kathleen in the comments says, I think what you all are suggesting is you want us to practice every day. So when it becomes our default, then if something happens, it will be far easier to rise above and tap into the love vibration. Exactly. I totally agree with that, Kathleen. And this is another thing that I've personally learned. There's different practices for all of us. We are all completely different people with completely different backgrounds, gifts, talents, energy fields, right? Where, for example, Jens meditates almost every single day for way longer than I can. And that's what works for you, right? That's one of the practices that works for you. For me, I also like to meditate, but it's more challenging for me to do it as long as you do. Like sometimes you'll be in your meditation room, you're doing it for like an hour or longer than that, and you're like totally in this very, you know, amazing space. We're all different. So for me, things that raise my vibration, like this morning, I did some chanting, I went for a run, being creative. Like it's different for all of us. And in your new course, Jens, you have a lot of different practices to share with people, right?
Yeah, and I also say to people, feel out what works for you best, right? So I'm also in the course. I'm providing some framework, some schedules, but you can tweak that to your liking. Some people like to doing very long. Some people like it shorter. So it's important to find your own voice and find out. There's a lot of stuff that I share in the course, And it's important to find, so there's enough for everybody, I think, to find like his own niche. What sometimes some things you like to do more than other things. That's very important, because, and also mix it up every once in a while. If you have
Mhm.
like a spiritual practice, don't, that this was a mistake I made, doing the same thing every day, and then we're human, right? After a while it gets just repetitive and boring. And I talk about this too. We have to mix it up every once in a while to keep it interesting, because we're human, right? If you eat pizza every day, after 2 weeks the pizza are gonna be like, oh, I don't want to have pizza anymore. Even though you love pizza, but after eating it 2 weeks for every day, you're gonna be like, I want something else.
Yeah.
I know, because I've been what was it, on a jungle retreat once, years ago in Peru, and we had rice every day, and I like rice, but man, after 2 weeks I was done with it. So yeah, you have to mix things up too.
Yeah, for sure. And also, I think we kind of spoke on this, but I want to touch on this a little bit more. The rest of this year of 2025, okay, I know you like to make predictions and you're extremely psychic and intuitive. Usually at the beginning of the year, you'll like put out predictions that you've meditated on, what you think is coming up in the year ahead. And Jens is always right because he's a Pisces rising with his moon at 29 degrees, the most psychic degree. And I'm always like, okay, super psychic. I want to ask you, I want to get into the astrology as well for the rest of the year, why I think this is so important right now, what you have to share with everybody about raising our vibrations with your new course, us having these conversations with our loved ones as well about this. But I want to ask you, what are your predictions for the rest of the year? Have they all come true, what you said at the beginning of the year so far? Or do you have any other feelings about October, November, December 2025?
Hmm. I feel like, we're getting into conspiracy territory here, but we go where we want to go.
You're already there.
Yeah. I do feel the situation that started with Charlie Kirk. I do
Mhm,
feel that it's not totally over yet. I feel like they're trying to divide and rule in the United States, and that some
mhm.
other things may come up. But again, we don't need to worry. We don't need to lower our vibration with anticipatory fear of something that hasn't happened yet. Watch it a little bit with emotional distance, right? But I think there may be more psyops coming. There's always psyops. There's never been stopped being psyops, since decades. So see it as part of a show. We don't need to worry, but and also don't need to like keep focusing on the positive. But if we're looking at that world, the world of the 3D and trying to control, I think there's and I feel what I also feel is that the war between Israel and Iran might flare up again,
Mhm.
because we just had that like little back and, well, little, it wasn't little if you saw the rockets flying, but they went back and forth, and then it stopped. But I think it might restart sometime in the future. I don't know if it's going to be this year or maybe next year, but I hope not, of course. Please to God, no wars, but we'll see.
Yep. Guys, we are in crazy ass times. Astrologically, it's absolutely unprecedented what we've got going on. And for those of you who maybe haven't seen me before, I am a Western astrologer professionally. For the whole rest of this year, Saturn's back in Pisces. Neptune is about to go back into Pisces October 22nd. In November, Uranus goes back into Taurus. So we've had these three outer planets that in 2025, they've gone into air and fire signs. And we've gotten a little taste this summer 2025 of what it's going to be like in 2026 when all these outer planets go into much lighter fire and air signs. But this winter, they're going back. And I've been saying for a while, it's going to feel like we're going back in time in a really uncomfortable way, and it's going to be really trippy. It's going to be really weird. This Neptune and Pisces transit that we've had since 2013 has been height, lies, illusion, deception, brainwashing, confusion, mental health issues, addictions to the screens. Pisces rules screens, things that take us out of our bodies, drugs and alcohol, all that kind of stuff. So, with this being the last hurrah of Neptune and Pisces for this, if I'm remembering correctly, like over 170 years until the next Neptune and Pisces, with Saturn there, with Uranus back in Taurus, which is one of the most unstable things you can have in astrology, plus the eclipses we got going on, plus there's a Saturn Neptune conjunction going on that won't be exact until February. There's so much. This is very intense astrology that is not normal. And you guys that follow me know that I give it to you straight. It's not easy. So if you are someone that is experiencing that you're not in a high vibration right now, you are ungrounded right now, you are really struggling right now, whether you go check out Jens's course, whether you go start a yoga class, whatever it is, you need to be doing something right now to not go crazy to get through these times. And I'm not saying that out of a fear-based place, I'm saying that out of a love-based place. This is going to get weirder and weirder and weirder. October, November, December 2025. Do you have any personal feelings, Jens? You listen to me a lot with the astrology. You know some of the transits we got going on. How do you feel about Saturn and Neptune back in Pisces together for one last time from October 22nd until end of January 2026? What does that make you feel like? What is your sense around that?
But I'm feeling it's like a last push from the old power structure, last push from the old illusions. Like it's maybe like one final test, but we are moving a bit. It's like a little, when Saturn comes back, it kind of, as I, correct me if I'm wrong, because you're the astrology expert. But if Saturn comes back in retrograde and goes over it again, it's like to solidify it a
Yeah.
little bit, to put the exclamation marks on it a little bit. So I
Mhm.
feel like this is yeah, about illusions, about deception. Maybe there's going to be something happen again that tests our discernment, but I think we are well prepared.
Yeah, discernment, another very important word. So, yeah, it's nothing that we can't handle because I think we've already been through the craziest shit of our lives with 2020. That's my personal belief. That was absolutely nuts what we went through and how many people fell for what we went through. Neptune and Pisces, right? To be deceived, to go along with the crowd over something that makes no sense. We won't get into that whole thing. Jens and I have talked at length about that. But yeah, astrologically, this is a very good time to be taking care of yourself, raising your vibration. So for me personally, I've shared that, I'm full blown into the woo, into conspiracies. I like to go into the alternative history. I'm a Scorpio. I love to research, but I'm at this point in my life now where I'm very discerning and mindful of what I put my energy towards. Right. So I've already seen all the documentaries about, and some of you guys might think I'm crazy for saying this, but the reptilians, okay, all David Icke stuff, right? That whole thing that may be going on. I don't need to watch 10 more of those, right, in a month period, which is going to make me feel weird and it's going to make me feel angry and it's going to make me feel like, what the heck? I'm going to put my energy towards things that I maybe don't know anything about that I need to become aware of. Or also, another thing I would suggest to you guys is if you are feeling like you're in a low vibration and you're feeling down, don't take in anything that is not uplifting. Okay, that may sound really intense for me to say, but if you keep going down all of these rabbit holes and information overload on social media and all this stuff, while you're already not feeling good, that's going to make you feel even more poorly. Would you agree with that, Jens?
Absolutely, especially when we're, and we all sometimes feel a little bit more negativity or a little bit down. We're human. Sometimes things happen in our life. Yeah, really don't do anything. Watch any negative stuff when you're already in a vulnerable space. I tend to
Mhm.
watch the negative stuff. When I feel okay, now I can, and then I don't do it like for days on end.
Mhm.
And everybody has a different tolerance, right? Some people are way more sensitive than others. So respect yourself, know yourself, and respect your own beingness. That's very important.
Exactly. And astrologically, okay, a lot of what we're seeing right now is not even real. And I'm not alluding to Charlie Kirk didn't die. I'm not saying that everything is a psyop, but just saying there's stuff that is not what it seems to be, some things that may be fake. or green screen. Like there's a lot of weird stuff going on with Neptune and Pisces where we don't even have the full picture. Okay. So some of these rabbit holes that are really deep, where unless you're actually in the situation, like the whole what's it called? Like the ice wall in Antarctica, for example. Okay. That's something that, okay, that's cool to go down that rabbit hole. But if that's going to become your whole life, that's a little bit of an energy drain because unless you actually go there, right, you're not going to know for sure what's going on with that. And I'm not saying the ice wall isn't real. I actually do think that's a real thing, but just using that as an example, right? Being very mindful where we put our energy and our research into because there's already so much going on in the collective. It is such a chaotic energy in the collective right now that we want to be doing things that uplift and nourish us for sure. And if there's information that's breaking that comes out that you feel is going to be nourishing for you, then by all means go into that. We got some questions in the live chat that I want to bring up with you, Yenzi. But before we do that, is there anything we haven't brought up yet that you want to bring up around this
Yeah,
subject?
I think we covered all the main important points of the main important points of what to do, what to do, the main solidifiers of pointers of raising your vibration. I think we covered them. We covered them nicely. Yeah.
Nice. Okay, so we've got a few questions here that I want to bring up. Wendy Madison, hi Wendy, says, I am 72 plus years old. Is it possible to raise my vibration?
Absolutely. It's you're never too old. Your age has basically nothing to do with it. The physical body can be of a certain age, but your energy is your energy.
Mhm.
It's That's why you can have people, for example, who are old but have that youthful, vibrant energy, right? Everybody has its own energies, has his or her own energy. So it's never too late to raise your vibration, or it's never nothing is impossible. See, and this is also maybe coming down to beliefs. Sometimes we have, and I talk a lot about beliefs in the course. How to get rid of limiting beliefs, like there are no limits except for the limits we place on ourselves.
Mm,
Okay, there are physical limits, right? I know, if you lose a hand, you're not going to grow back your hand. We got to be realistic, but this is the framework of the mind. There are no limits except the limits we place on ourselves. And if we believe something is not possible, it's going to act as a hindrance. It's not going to help us. So yes, you're never too old, and it is possible. If anything is possible, it's always possible to grow. A belief that says I'm not able to grow, I'm not able to heal, that's a totally false belief.
yeah, I totally agree with that sentiment. Julie says, I listened to Pam Gregory this morning and she feels the three eye atlas is approaching us with open love. Thoughts, Jens?
Yeah, I actually don't feel that these heavenly bodies are negative. Some people say that they're negative, but honestly, that doesn't resonate with me, because I feel like some people even say the moon is negative. I don't really resonate with that. It's not because there are some negative things happening on Earth, or some negative aliens have some bases on the moon, that the moon is therefore negative. And I don't feel with Three Eye Atlas. I feel with Three Eye Atlas is we're being conditioned to fear the space, the unknown.
Mm-hmm.
We're being conditioned, like, to fear, like, oh, there's something bad. Like, I remember, and the guy who launched this story actually of Tria Atlas, and of course, I didn't expect us to talk about this, so I should look it up, but I forgot his name because it's like an Israeli guy. What's his
I know.
name?
I'm having I know exactly who you're talking about. Shoot.
So
Avi,
this guy
Avi
who
something? Avi
have, yes,
Low,
something.
something like that.
Yes, yeah, yeah. So anyway, if I would see it, I would immediately remember it. But that's the same guy that did it with that other asteroid, Mama, or what was it? It was also a weird name,
Oumuamua.
Moho.
Oumuamua.
Yeah, something like that. Like, it was like 2 or 3 years ago, and everybody was doing the same thing. So it's basically just another repeat. And that Umama, or what its name is, never
Oumuamua.
did any bad. So I feel like they're trying to scare us with, maybe try to scare us for something that comes from space. It's again pushing the fear. So it anybody who says, like, I don't resonate with it. I don't resonate with that fear mongering again at all. And I think it's just a heavenly object, and I don't think it is. neither negative. It's, I don't think it's negative. If you would ascribe love to an object, yes, maybe, like in the question that is asked, I think it's more love than it's more negative. It's again,
Mhm.
and seeing that guy, that Navi, or what is his name, that professor that did the same thing
Loeb.
for yeah, from Umama. So it's the same guy pushing the same story again. That it did it 3 years, and it becomes like this meme in the alternative community. Oh my god, there's negativity and it's gonna attack us. Fear sells, right? It's a total fear game, and I'm not into it.
Be very discerning of people promoting fear, fear porn, and clickbait, because there's a lot of that going on. And yeah, we're going to do a whole separate video soon on Three Eye Atlas, right? We'll do that in the next coming weeks because Three Eye Atlas will be closest to the sun this month. In October, going to be coming closer and closer to the Earth. So stay tuned for that, you guys. And I think that's it for questions at the moment. I would really love to gift somebody Jens's course in the live chat here on YouTube. So, can we ask a question, Yenzi, and see if anybody gets it correctly? Do you have a question for the audience?
Let me think. Um, just give me a second here. This is unscripted, guys. I haven't prepared. I haven't prepared anything. Let me think about something we talked about. Um, yeah, I'll do an easy one because to give everybody fair chances. Something we talked about. What
Okay.
was the name of David Hawkins's book that we mentioned? And Meg brought it up.
First one who says it wins Jens's new 14 days to a higher vibration course.
And thank you again to the people who already signed up. I really appreciate your support and your trust in what I create.
And the winner is Kathleen Karsten, Power versus Force. Yay! Congratulations, Kathleen. And if you can contact us, how should Kathleen contact us? Go to your website or?
She can just go to my website, and she can input her email through the contact form.
Yeah, go to the contact form here. Let me move my mouse there so you can see it on the homepage of Jens's website. And we will send you out a copy. Congratulations, Kathleen. Any closing remarks before we finish up today's live stream? Tarot by Lupo says, I'd love if you guys would pull some cards.
Well, that can be a closing remark because I'm actually planning to do some more content where I pull cards, and on a next show of mine, where I will host it, I'm gonna ask Meg to pull some cards on some recent events, some interesting stuff. Maybe we can pull some cards on the Three Eye Atlas thing. So that's definitely gonna happen. So that's actually, you guys seem to be reading our minds. That is in the pipeline.
Yes, for sure. Maybe I can. Do you have any card decks with you right there?
No.
Jens is in our downstairs workspace. I'm in our upstairs workspace. How about I pull some tarot cards and also a starseed card? Let's have some fun before we finish up here. I'm going to ask, what does the universe want us to know? All the loving energies, spirits that support us for our highest good here on our soul's journey on earth right now. What do we need to know about raising our vibration during these times? Let's pull from the Starseed Oracle first. Wow. Cracked open. Let's see if this will, 1 second, you guys. If this will, such beautiful art in these Starseed cards. Cracked open, rock bottom. We talked about rock bottom. Surrender to the alchemy of life. Well, I personally feel, and I'd like to hear what you feel, Yenzi. I feel like we're all being cracked open right now. Everybody I talk to, whether it's a friend or a family member or a client, everybody is going through huge life shifts at the moment. Also, as a collective, we're being cracked open. And I feel like spiritually, we have been in a dark night of the soul for like the past 5 years. That's my personal spiritual take. I feel we've been going through a spiritual initiation where we've all been cracked open, as this card says, and, we can work with that consciously or be unconscious about it, right? And raising our vibration in the ways that resonate with us for our highest good is so important during this process. Anything you have to add?
No, I think you explained it beautifully. And cracked open is that state, that's that very vulnerable state where new seeds can sprout from. Sometimes in life we're feeling cracked open, and then it's just time to, to surrender, like the card says, and just move through the process. And yeah, I think you said it that very, very well.
Yeah. And Katie says, what are the dates of the course, Jens?
There are actually no dates. It's a different concept than what I did before. It's a complete. It's an online course that exists of 14 modules. So basically, the 14 days that you can learn in your own pace. And it's not like a 3-hour video where I know cover. All the videos are very structured. So there's all short videos that are lessons basically. So you can follow them at your own pace. So I think I've done it this way because when you make a 3-hour video, it's harder if people want to watch something like, okay, what did he say there? Then they have to like scroll in the video, and it's hard to find. So it's very structured, and it's very easy to find all the topics again. So it's all short or longer videos. Like some videos last 5 minutes, some videos last a half an hour. That are grouped per team. So there is no dates. You can just sign up and start the course as you in your own pace.
Yay. Awesome. Thank you, Katie, for that. Julie says, I love that your course is available open ended. Yes. And there's unlimited replay access as well. Want to finish also with pull 2 tarot cards as well. And we got on what the universe wants us to know about raising our vibration, the Page of Wands and the Hanged Man. Interesting. Page of Wands is very curious, open to new energies, charting a new path. Page of Wands is making me feel like it's something we have to put our energy into right now. It's not like the natural energies, astrologically speaking, where everything is happy and in a high vibration and joyful and so much fun. It's like we have to actually put energy, wand, into raising our vibration, raising our energy, right? And the Hanged Man is a card about different perspectives and trying new things, right? So maybe we want to try some kind of modality that we've never tried before. Something so important right now, you guys, is going out into community and being around people too, being around friends, getting support from a friend, supporting a friend. We become so isolated during these times as well, kind of like hung up in our own stuff, right? When we're all going through things. And yes, we need to have a regimen of taking care of ourselves, but also have some fun, let loose, be around our friends, get out, get around people if you haven't been. So, yeah, hope you guys enjoyed today's live stream. And thank you all so much for joining us. Again, Jens, I'm very proud of you and congratulations on your new course. And you have a 50% off discount code at the moment until October 7th, right?
That's true, yes. With the code 14day, you can get another $50 off, so it comes a total of 50% off.
Yep. So our links are in the description box below. You guys can go check that out. And what have we got coming up that we can give everybody a little sneak peek of what we got coming up on our channels?
We got lots of stuff coming up. I have my show tomorrow on my own channel. So, Freedom Frequency, it's called. It's at, I have to think, 5 p.m. European time.
So
And that
that's
means that it's 11
11.
a.m. EST time. Okay, that's a hard one. 11 a.m. EST time. It's going live, but of course you can watch the replay on my channel. We also got content coming up from me and Meg. We did travels in England, and also with Sunny, we did haunting, ghost investigations. That's more Meg's next favorite stuff to do is the spooky stuff. Coming up for the spooky season, we got a few of those coming up in the coming weeks. So that's going to be very interesting. Anything else, Meg?
Yeah, lots of paranormal, spooky season content. We're going to be doing some traveling later this winter as well, in the US and back to Alberta. So there will be cool stuff coming out that way too. And you guys know we'll always be supporting you here for me with the astrology. I'm here for you guys almost every single day on my channel sharing the astrology. And Jens is over on his YouTube, Rumble X, and also Facebook. You just hit over 50,000 followers on Facebook recently. That's amazing. Jens does posts every single day, helping to wake us all up through spirituality, through consciousness. So I'm very excited what the future has to hold. And we're very grateful for all of you that support us here on our channels. We'd appreciate if you like this video, press subscribe, leave a comment, and share if you would like to with someone that you think would benefit from the information. So we'll see you all very soon. And we're wishing you a magical rest of your day. Bye,
Thank you,
everybody.
everybody. Bye bye.